So the last year has been one of the most difficult yet rewarding years of my life. Not because of COVID, no. I am an introverted homebody, so no, I love that stuff. About a year ago, we decided that we were ready to grow our family. We wanted to have another baby, and we really wanted to see Claire become a big sister. So being the type A control freak person that I am, I planned everything out perfectly, right down to the day. But the Lord had other plans that He always does. So month after month, the Lord kept telling us not yet. And that was really hard to hear, because I am a planner and it wasn't matching up with what I had planned. And I was starting to get really anxious and worried about that. And every month I would ride this roller coaster of emotion where I would get excited at the potential. And then when it didn't happen, I would just fall into this depression. And every month I was riding that roller coaster month after month when the Lord would say, not yet. Eventually, the depression lasted longer and longer until it never really went away. And I was just stuck in this perpetual sadness and felt this incredible heaviness on me. And of course, I hid that because I'm really good at hiding my feelings and pretending that everything's okay. Of course, Matt saw it all, but I remember looking in my drawer at this t-shirt that says something about being happy and thinking, I can't wear that because I'm not happy. And I just kept thinking that I'll be happy when we can have a baby. I know that when it happens, I'll be happy. Which eventually I just realized that my happiness couldn't depend on me getting my way. Every month, Matt would say, it'll happen when it happens. And for those of you who know Matt, you know that he is the most laid back, go with the flow person that you will ever meet. And I know that that is a good thing because we really balance each other out because I'm not that way. But when he would tell me it'll happen when it happens, I would just get so annoyed and think, that is not helpful at all. Stop saying that. However, I was telling people, oh, it's all in the Lord's timing. I was telling people that, but not actually feeling it and living that. So I started getting this nudge from the Holy Spirit that was telling me that I needed to change. My heart needed to change. Like I said, my happiness could not depend on me getting my way because rarely does that happen. I have known all along through life that the Lord's plans and the Lord's timing are different than mine, and they're always better than mine. But I couldn't remember that at the time, and I couldn't just live that out. But I was sitting in church one Sunday, and I started to feel completely overwhelmed by the Holy Spirit. By the second song that we sang, I was just sitting in the pew crying, and I knew that the Lord was going to speak to me that day, and that I needed to open my mind to hear what He had to say through John. John spoke a sermon that day about the disciples and their lack of faith, and Jesus calming the storm. And John said that how what we believe and how we're living our lives, how they need to match up. And I felt completely called out by God. He was just calling my name and saying, Alyssa, you are not doing that. So I knew that something needed to change. So after being completely broken down by the Holy Spirit that day, sitting in church, I felt compelled to make a change, and I knew that that wouldn't happen automatically. And ironically enough, that day or a day or two after or something, I don't remember exactly when, but I had a notification on my phone from the Bible app that was suggesting a daily devotion for fighting fear and anxiety. So I did that 7-day devotional, and after that I did another one, and after that I did another one, and about 100 days later, I know because it keeps count on the app, I am now reading through the Bible through a daily devotional. I also read a book around that time called Holding On to Hope, and that book was about, the author had lost an infant, and it was all about still seeking out God through struggles. And even though I've never experienced losing an infant, it was very relative to what I was going through, and could be very relative to what many people are going through, grief and loss of any kind. Mine was loss of my own plans. But there was some very powerful paragraphs within that book, and I'd like to read one of those paragraphs that really just touched my heart and was just kind of an aha moment while I was reading. So it says, "Because I believe God's plans for me are better than what I could plan for myself, rather than run away from the path He has set before me, I want to run towards it. I don't want to try to change God's mind. His thoughts are perfect. I want to think His thoughts. I don't want to change God's timing. His timing is perfect. I want the grace to accept His timing. I don't want to change God's plans. His plan is perfect. I want to embrace His plan and see how He is glorified through it." So that it just really hit me deep in the heart. And I found that although I had been saying all along, it's all in God's timing, I found that finally what I knew in my mind had finally reached my heart, and I was actually truly believing that and living that out. And it was such a good place to be. I started feeling very content in what I had already. I already had this baby who's still a baby and isn't going to be a baby for much longer. And I just felt really at peace with where I was at with our family, with Matt and I and Claire. And I was just really enjoying that. And I got to the point where I was thinking, and Matt and I were talking about maybe adopting or fostering to adopt. And I thought, you know what? We could skip those newborn days, those really tough newborn stages, and we could adopt like a 1-year-old. That would be great. So I just really felt this incredible peace and contentment. And as I dug deeper into the Word, there was just verse after verse after verse that was so relative to what I was going through. And there's a verse about Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And it's just so important to know that, like, what we need is already there in front of us. Around the same time that I had heard that sermon that hit so deep in my heart, I had a doctor's appointment scheduled, and I was planning on asking for to be prescribed an antidepressant and for fertility testing. But what I discovered that wasn't really what I needed, although that has helped. Antidepressants are a great thing. They've helped people tremendously, but that wasn't what I needed. I needed to seek out that relationship with the Lord, to just totally let go of control and just trust that He had a plan for us, and that His plans were good, and that if things had happened on my own timing, then maybe it wouldn't have been so good. we did get fertility testing done and there was nothing wrong. So that just confirmed that it was all in the Lord's timing, that it was up to him. There was another part in the book that I read that said, God makes babies. There are lots of places in the Bible that say that God opened her womb or closed her womb, and that conception is all up to the Lord. And that testing just confirmed that. Like, there's nothing wrong with us. So it all is depending on what's right for us and when the Lord decides that that's okay. So eventually the Lord decided that that was what he had in mind for us. So we are expecting baby number 2 in March, and Lord willing, that the next 32 weeks, because I'm about 8 weeks now, I know that the future of this baby is in the Lord's hands, and there's a lot that could happen in the next 32 weeks, but he has decided to bless us with another baby, and we are so grateful for that and so excited and so happy. But I am very aware that, painfully aware that not all fertility struggles end with a happy note like ours has. We have family members who have struggled with fertility for years, and I don't really know why the Lord has decided to end our story in that way. And I mean, maybe there's more in store for us. We don't really know. But we are feeling so incredibly blessed and happy and blessed in more ways than just one. Blessed to finally have developed this relationship with the Lord, because my 34 years of being a Christian, my whole life, I can honestly say that I have never had a close relationship with the Lord. And over the past year, I've developed that, and it is truly just life-changing. It has just totally transformed my heart in the way that I look at things. And so I am feeling so blessed to have that, but also with the blessing of having another baby coming too. I want to say one more point from John's message in that I heard that Sunday, and that was that faith is not automatic. It needs to be intentional, and I experienced that firsthand. It's not my first instinct to just trust the Lord's timing like it is Matt's. I have to be diligent about it and just saturate myself with the Word in order to have faith that God has everything all planned out. And I know that even in the depths of struggles and difficulties, that the Lord is so faithful and good. And even if he hadn't blessed us with this second baby, I still know that he is so good and so faithful, and that it's having a relationship with the Lord is just life-changing.